there will be a rather moving moment in just a minute or so's time, because the Norwegian coach, the head coach, Ståle Solbakken, is going to present a bouquet of flowers to the France assistant coach Guy Stéphane, who is in charge today because Didier Deschamps has had to return home after the very sad death of his mother. And absolutely right that Norway, like France, are paying their respects. Well, the handshakes are nearly complete, and this much-billed clash of the Galacticos may be short of one of its key components. No Erling Haaland, at least from the start, but Kylian Mbappe does play as the France captain continues his personal crusade for the Golden Boot and for World Cup history. Currently 2 goals behind the competition's all-time top scorer. That, of course, now is Lionel Messi, and records are likely to continue to be extended as the tournament goes on. So this is the next chapter in Mbappe and France's quest for World Cup glory on more than one front, and it is live on Talk Sport. The two captains are going head-to-head in the centre circle. Kylian Mbappe, the France number 10, and today for Norway, Patrick Berg of Bodo Glimt, who captained them during their run to the last 16 of the UEFA Champions League earlier this season. The two teams line up like this, a much-changed Norway side with Haaland on the bench, Selvik in goal, Arsnes, Ostigard, Falconer and Bjorkan, Asgard, Berg and Torstvedt, Bob, Schjelderup and Strand Larsen up front. For France, Magnon is the goalkeeper, Koundé, Upamecano, Lacroix and Theo Hernandez, Kone and Chouameni, and Lise, Dembele and Doué behind Mbappe up front. We may yet see the clash of the Titans as the game goes on. Now, Michael Oliver, the referee from England, of course, is going to lead the players up to the edge of the centre circle here, because before this game kicks off, as at all matches on the 26th and 27th of June at this World Cup, we will have a moment of silence in remembrance of the victims of the terrible earthquakes in Venezuela this week. Norway players to the left of the halfway line and the France players to the right as the crowd slowly begins to get to its feet. Well, the sun shines now here in Boston at this open-air arena without a roof, and no need at the moment, even though there are some grey clouds looming overhead. Norway to the left of the halfway line, all in red. France in their change kit, this all-mint kit that has taken certainly the kit world by storm in the build-up to this World Cup. But Kylian Mbappe is certainly taking the tournament by storm, Mark McGee. How difficult will it be for this patched-up Norway defence today?
Well, you know, you talk about breaking records. I would not be surprised if by the end of this game the record had been broken and he was then ahead of Messi. That's how good he is, that's the form he's in, and that's the determination that he's been shown to lead this French team to the final.
Well, it is a straight shootout for top spots in Group I, live here and in full on Talk Sport. The other game in the group, Senegal against Iraq, is live over on Talk Sport 2. Make sure you download our free app. We have more World Cup football than anybody else, including Panama against England, live inside the stadium in England's final game of the group. Norway get us off and underway here in Boston. Long goes the Watford goalkeeper Egil Selvik. It's well won in the air by Crystal Palace's Jorgen Strand Larsen, but Jules Koundé is across to collect possession, and an error at the back here by Ostigard, and France and Mbappe could be in already. Away on the right hand side, and he's hit the bar with a rifled shot that deflected off the underside of the woodwork down onto the line and bounced away away to safety. That was nearly the quickest goal of this World Cup, and Mbappe at the heart of it, as you'd expect. Goalkeeper seemed beaten, but the ball cannons off the woodwork and away to safety in the first minute.
Astonishing. Not the break. It was a little bit casual. It was a little bit a la Scotland, the way they get in down the right hand side, France. But I thought he was looking for a cutback, and he's absolutely lashed it off the crossbar. Easily could have been the start of a goal in the first minute.
Well, Michael Olise started in the middle for France, which is not unusual as far as his setup in the national team is concerned. Obviously, we're used at club level to seeing him play out on the right-hand side for Bayern Munich, but not unfamiliar territory for him. Indeed, not unfamiliar at this World Cup. But Norway with a very unfamiliar starting 11. Well, they were nearly a goal down. Saved by the woodwork inside the opening 30 seconds. Live here on TalkSport. Out on the right is Dembele. We're marauding infield and whipping the ball cross-field, left to right, out to the near side and Doué. The pitch is sun-kissed now. Doué drives infield. The ball hits Michael Oliver, and France will have it back midway inside Norway territory. Can already see the Norway head coach Ståle Solbakken on the edge of his technical area. Mark McGee, you tried to sign him once when he was a player.
I did when I was manager of Wolves. I talked to him about signing, and he ended up going to Crystal Palace.
Had a very successful time of it as Norway head coach, despite at one stage being under tremendous pressure. There was a poll released less than 2 years ago, and only about 20% of fans wanted him to stay. That has very much changed with Norway at their first World Cup for 28 years. They've got the ball away on the far side of the field, and darting into France territory is Asgard. Jorgen Strand Larsen wants it played into the penalty area. Still here goes Asgard into the box. He goes down. No foul given by the referee on the field. He was surrounded by 3 France players. France smuggled the ball away from danger out to the left back, Theo Hernandez on the near side of the field. It's Norway 0, France 0, and we're in the 3rd minute as the irrepressible Mbappe scampers into the centre circle, but plays a less than impressive pass, though he does go in with Ostigard to try and win it back. France have it again with Doué. Little 1-2 with Olise. Doué 25 yards out, blocked off by the sliding challenge of Torstvedt in the middle of midfield. France have it back now. Reverse ball into the area, looking for Mbappe again. Very open and quick pace start to this game.
Mbappe looks absolutely electric. His movement, change of direction, his strength there, getting across and getting himself between the ball and the defender. He is absolutely at it today.
Well, he knows that the Golden Boot is at stake. He knows that the race to overtake Messi's 18 World Cup goals is there for him as well, and perhaps he feels that today is a big opportunity. Kone sprays the ball wide out to the France right. Dembele with the weaving footwork, taking on Bjorkan. Low ball into the near post, cut back by Koundé, and cleared away only as far as Kone with the drive, beaten away by the goalkeeper. Comes back down to Dembele, back towards Kone again. This time he misses his kick. France are all over Norway in the early stages, and Doué dinks it into the box. It's headed behind at the near post by the defender Falconer, but Norway cannot get any respite at the moment with France so quick on the attack.
Well, not only are they strong and quick and mobile, but they're playing like subtle little passes in behind. They've got that ability as well. It's brilliant.
Olise playing it back to Theo Hernandez. If Norway aren't taking this game seriously, then France certainly are. They want to win the group. Doué with a low shot from range, and that's straight at the Watford goalkeeper Selvik, who is making his 8th Norway appearance, all in blue away to the left-hand side. And it was a fine save to deny Kone what would have been his first international goal.
And I think that he's going to have to make a few fine saves if they're going to come out of this game with anything, because at the moment they're pinned in, they're trying to play out, but France are patient as well, but France are strong. They seem to be able to get there, and they seem to be able to win the ball back quickly.
Here on the right hand side though for Norway is Oscar Bob. He's blocked off in the wing position by Desiree Doué. Good diligent work tracking back by Doué here on this vast expansive surface. We're high up in the main stand, a very steep drop to the touchline below and a bird's eye view of the stadium here just southwest of Boston as France get a free kick for a foul on Jules Koundé. Meanwhile, there's been a goal in the other game in Group I. Senegal 1, Iraq 0 is the latest score. That's live over on TalkSport 2. Abdoulaye Seck has got that goal for Senegal. And as I say, commentary on TalkSport 2, but it's not good news for Scotland, who, by my maths, are knocked out of the top 8 in the race to be one of the best third-place sides at the tournament, and therefore go through. Out on the right is Dembele. What a ball by Mbappe to found him. Dembele twisting, turning, shooting, scoring! Lovely feet, too quick for Norway. The shot too good for the goalkeeper. Mbappe has set one up with a peach of a pass, and Ousmane Dembele, having never scored in a major tournament coming into this World Cup, has now got 2-2. France much too fleet-footed for the Norwegians in the early stages, and they take full advantage. Norway 0, France 1. What a beautiful goal.
You know, Asgard and Bjorkan have went missing on that left-hand side on 2 or 3 occasions already. But when Mbappe receives the ball here towards us, towards the left-hand side, we can see the gap because we're 200 feet above it and we can see it from the air. But he finds that gap like no problem whatsoever, sweeps it into the space, and Dembele, you know, coming inside and absolutely buries it. Absolutely fabulous.
It just flew past the goalkeeper from Ousmane Dembele. It was but a blur for Selvik in goal, and France are off and running already. Less than 10 minutes gone, and Dembele gives them a deserved lead. And Guy Stéphane, the assistant head coach on the near side, standing in for Didier Deschamps, punches the air with delight. But it's absolutely no surprise, particularly after the goal-scoring form that this France team have been in at the World Cup so far, that they take the lead inside 8 minutes.
Fabulous. I mean, they could easily have been ahead already.
Well, they might be in again. Mbappe down the middle, battling with Falconer on just his second ever cap for Norway. Mbappe has gone down and has stayed down inside the penalty area. Now here comes Doué with a low shot, and that's straight at Selvik as Mbappe, holding his lower back, slowly staggers to his feet. Yeah,
Doué's had a couple of goes. He's dragged a couple. He's not got full power on it, but there've been a couple of sighters for him, you know, so, you know, can see his intent. He's coming inside, he's getting himself into the middle, and he's had 2 decent shots, not tested the keeper, but like I say, setting him up for the next one that he maybe catch properly and maybe score a goal.
Did Ståle Solbakken see this coming when he picked the Norway team? Well, we certainly did.
One of my worries is that it starts to get away from them, and then they have to panic and start bringing out the big guns, and then it becomes a little bit desperate and a little bit embarrassing almost, you know, to pick this team and think that they're going to hold this France team at bay.
It's a near first 11 against a second string, and the golf in class and quality in the first 10 minutes is there for all to see. France could easily be 2 or 3 goals up in the event they lead by a goal to 0. High raking ball downfield for Norway is volleyed up into the air by Upamecano, not entirely convincingly. I don't think Lacroix, the other centre-half on his World Cup debut, has had a touch just yet, as Elise darts forward towards the halfway line, tugged back by Patrick Berg, and the Norway captain for the day gets a yellow card. France want to take it quickly, but Michael Oliver says no.
I didn't think, I thought it was a yellow card, but I thought for a moment that Michael Oliver wasn't going to book him, and that would have been fine, but this has put him under pressure now. There's a long way to go in this match, and there'll be other occasions where he'll feel that little bit of desperation and will be tempted to do something else, so he needs to be really careful, and Solbakken needs to, you know, at half time maybe even consider that.
Dembele on the ball, having scored the opening goal, and significant, I think, that France spread the goals around the team at this World Cup, and it's the first time Dembele has scored 2 and 2 for the national team in more than 5 years, although they've given it away at the back now, and Strand Larsen should have played it earlier, comes out to Torstvedt with a low drive, a long way out, it's gathered by the goalkeeper Magnon. Strand Larsen's hands go to his head, he had bobbing, acres of space to his right, dallied on the ball, took too long, and in the end it comes to nothing. Mark McGee.
It was an easier pass than Mbappe had, when he found Dembele on that far right hand side. It was poor, really, because it was a great opportunity.
Torstvedt trying to force his way through again on the edge of the France penalty area, but he's surrounded by a sea of mint shirts, and France eventually win it back and have possession with Theo Hernandez, who strokes the ball out to the right hand side, and Dembele again. Dembele has isolated Bjorkan in a one-on-one. Lovely reverse ball, and Mbappe went for it. Ostigard, the former Coventry and Stoke loanee, is across to nudge it out of play for a France throw, which they take quickly over on the far side, and Mbappe with a clever little dink back to Koundé. Oh, they look razor sharp to the French here in the early stages. Elise, little flick. It comes back out to Kone again. Kone of Roma. And now Lacroix steers the ball wide to Theo Hernandez. Whips in the delivery. High to the back post. Mbappe on the volley. Lofts in another delivery. It'll take a bounce and be hooked away by Fredrik Arsnes, the Norway right back. And out of play it goes for a Norway throw on this near side of the field. If you're a Norway fan just arriving at the Boston Stadium, and there are plenty of them, a sea of red away to our left hand side, you'd probably be thankful you'd missed the opening 11 and a half minutes, because France have been the dominant side, Mark.
Yeah, but there was that little moment there when Strand Larsen doesn't get the pass to his teammate. He's not going to get many opportunities. That wasn't too difficult a pass. They have to make that count. That's the difference in the quality of the two teams. France, they make that count. Norway can't.
Asgard with a very heavy touch, and they get caught on the edge of the penalty area. Mbappe to Elise. Elise left-footed. Good block by Ostigard sliding in. Selvik is furious with his defenders. He balls at them, does the Norway goalkeeper. They gave it away so cheaply there, and Mbappe unselfish, setting up Michael Elise, who in the end was blocked off.
The movement between Mbappe and Elise is brilliant there. Him coming around with a little sort of overlap and underlap, getting round about him and giving the opportunity to set him up, but it was a good block.
Well, it's still very hot and humid here, quite muggy in Massachusetts today, despite some of the sunshine and indeed some of the rain that we had earlier. Torstvedt for Norway, whose dad Eric was the former Tottenham goalkeeper, goes down on the near side to right and wins them a free kick in a decent position, a crossing position about level with the edge of the France penalty area, Mark McGee.
Yeah, but I think Tuchemeni there knows better. He's an experienced player. He don't be giving away free kicks in this situation. This is made for Strand Larsen. This is almost the only way that he's going to score today, from one of these set plays, particularly from the wide area and cross.
Norway 0, France 1. Haaland on the bench, Mbappe in the 11, and he's already set up a goal for Ousmane Dembele. Patrick Berg, the number 6, with the long dark hair, will take the free kick from the near side of the field, whips it in high, right-footed, good header away by Upamecano at the heart of the France back line, always reliable. Schelderup is there first to the loose ball for Norway in the left wing position, checks backwards now, whipped in by Arsnes. Strand Larsen has lashed it over the top from 8 yards out, plucked it out of the air beautifully, and then when it came to striking the ball right-footed, he sliced through it and over the top, high over the top.
Well, dreadful, but Upamecano ducks in to try and head it away, and he just nicks it off his head, and it drops perfectly for him, and you just expect him to stroke it into the bottom corner, and he blasts it wildly over the bar.
Oh, and now Magnon is closed down by Strand Larsen, and France taking all sorts of risks. The goalkeeper alive to the danger, as eventually he's able to gather. Strand Larsen blocked the clearance, but Magnon is able to scoop up the ball again. Here come Norway on the attack. They lose out to Elise, and the Norway fans away to the left hand side are going through their rowing routine again. We've seen them do it in Boston, in the city centre, and at the baseball stadium at Fenway Park, and here they are at the World Cup against France, and it is quite a sight and sound away to our left hand side. All of the Norway support behind that goal in their rowing motion, and now they get to their feet. I'm glad they're enjoying themselves, because the team on the field don't appear to be at the moment. 1-0 to France. Did that make you emotional, Mark?
No, it didn't that time because I'm too engrossed in the game. You know, France's play is just so brilliant. You know, you can't take your eyes off it because any minute there's going to be that little overlap or that little underlap and somebody will be in and they'll be threatening the goal again.
This is Talk Sport live from the World Cup. Kone to Elise with a little chip out to the left and an intuitive flick by Desiree Doué looking for the underlapping run of Theo Hernandez. It's swept upfield away by Falconer towards the halfway line where Stana Solbakken, the Norway coach, is standing with his arms folded on the near side of the field. Senegal 1, Iraq 0, live on Talk Sport 2 elsewhere in Group I. Dembele is in an offside position. 6 World Cup commentaries tomorrow, headlined by Panama against England at 10 o'clock your time, live on Talk Sport. Build up all day before we join Adrian Durham live inside the New York, New Jersey Stadium from 8 o'clock, and the game will be followed by a World Cup Game Day Sports Bar where you can have your say on England on 03717 223344. An absolute feast of football, wall to wall, day after day, live on the Talk Sport network as Norway get a free kick which goalkeeper Selvik will smash high downfield.
Dembele, Mbappe and Doué have started brilliantly, but the one that's really making it happen is Elise. They do not know what to do about him. He's everywhere. He's making runs.
Mbappe played in by Elise into the area. Mbappe shoots, went near post, beaten away by the goalkeeper. Got his leg to it in the end there. Selvik, I think the ball ricocheted off his knee. Doué it was with the slide rule pass. Mbappe so quick ahead of the last defender, and he went for the near post rather than the far, and the goalkeeper was there to deny it.
We can see from up here why he did that, and it's astonishing again. You know, we've got a bird's eye view and we can see these things, but he can see it from that level. He sees the openings, he sees the gaps.
Here is Theo Hernandez out on the near side, the France left, level with the edge of the 18-yard area. Plenty of red shirts back behind the ball for Norway, but France with their incisive football, always so much refinement in the final third, and they've got the ability to cut through them almost at will. Over on the right is Dembele. France lead 1-0. Dembele, ball back with his left foot to Lacroix, a long way from goal, and now Chouameni to the feet of Upamecano. Upamecano sends the ball skywards out to the right, now backwards to Elise from Dembele, infield to Chouameni. Lots of interchanging of position in this France team, particularly when they reach the final third. Kone darts forward, good ball out to the right. Dembele's first time cross is deflected away by Bjorkan, and the loose ball retrieved by Elise as France prepare to launch another attack. What a ball down the middle when intercepted by Falconer. That was nearly perfect for Kylian Mbappe. Norway can't really get out of their defensive third at the moment.
No, and we said already at the goal, you know, on that right hand side, you know, the left back's not getting any help whatsoever, you know, from Thorstvedt. He's gone missing.
Senegal 1, Iraq 0 it remains elsewhere in this group, live on Talk Sport 2, as Senegal look to qualify as one of the best placed third place teams, and it's got better for them because Iraq are now down to 10 men. Schjelderup away on the left hand side for Norway, nice little back heel. Bjorkan on the overlap, cuts it back to the edge of the D, shot is driven in, cleared away only as far as Arsenus to the right corner of the penalty area. Asgard tries to come forward with the ball, and then Thorstvedt loses out. France are on the counter now with Mbappe, who skips away from Ostigard, had his shirt tugged but still manages to get it wide to Dembele. Dembele on the edge of the D. Oh, he's done it again! A glorious goal! Delightful from Dembele! Mbappe tees him up again, and Dembele with the finish to match, arcing left-footed away from the diving goalkeeper. It's like a competition among the France players now, and Dembele has put himself right in the race for the Golden Boot. This is sensational stuff.
magnificent. And again, Mbappe's part in that. He's been hauled to the ground with his shirt. He still manages to retain the strength to get the ball out to Dembele. After that, we're wondering, because you see him coming inside, you know he's going to get a shot away, but you're not sure he's going to score. But when he does that, oh my goodness, unbelievable.
Who can stop them when they're in this sort of form? Can any side in the world stop France when they're in this sort of form? 2-0, but here come Norway straight away, and they make it 2-1. Who would have thought it? Tello Asgard, the former Wigan Athletic player, has scored in a World Cup straight from kick-off, drills it low beyond Mike Magnon from inside the penalty area, and what a game we have on our hands here. Just as France look to be cruising, Norway get a goal back straight away. Norway 1, France 2.
Yeah, straight from the centre. They take the centre after the France goal. France are a little bit flat-footed, a little bit, loss of concentration perhaps, still in their minds have just scored, and Norway get there far too easily, and it's a great finish, but the way he gets the shot in is far too easily allowed by the French back four.
What a great scoring record for Norway has Asgard. That is 6 in 9 caps, albeit 4 of them did come in one game against Moldova, but he's made his mark at a World Cup, the former Liverpool Academy player.
Yeah, well, coming from Rangers, I'm not entirely happy with that, of course, coming from the other side. But, no, absolutely brilliant for the lad. Great finish, but they still get pressure on.
Corner to France, whipped in by Elise and headed behind again. It'll be another France corner, this time from the near side of the field as we look at it. Well, nobody had that.
Well,
Mark McGee.
It goes 2-0 and you're thinking then, how many? Like we talked before the game, the danger for this, second string that he's put out there, Solbaken's put out there today. But there's still a long way to go, and there's still goals to come from this machine that is France.
Dembele ready to take another corner. On a hat-trick, Dembele. 2 arms up into the air, right-footed delivery, right underneath the crossbar. Pulled back by Mbappe. Elise on the volley, cleared away. It's come all the way out to Doué from range, and that's blocked by Falconer this time. As Dembele on the volley lofts the ball backwards and into the path of Theo Hernandez. Now Tchouameni back to Upamecano. So France had conceded. Norway 1, France 2. In a classic case of just switching off for a moment. Elise marauds towards the corner flag, rolls the ball into the path of Koundé, back to Kylian Mbappe, very tight space, 2 in red surrounding him, finds Elise, pops square to Theo Hernandez with a rising drive, and that sails into the Norway end behind the goal. And now the referee stops the game. We've reached the end of the first quarter, and there are boos and whistles as the players come across to start the hydration break. Well, former Scotland manager Mark McGee, I call what happened there a classic case of the curse of the commentator, because there I was saying, who could stop France? And Tello Asgard says, well, maybe I can.
Yeah. It was a terrific response, but it was really based around the fact that France just seemed to stop for those couple of minutes. They didn't really get going again straight from the kick-off. They didn't go after possession, they didn't step on, to try and get the ball. They sat on the edge of their own box almost, and when the ball came forward, they were a bit flat-footed. They got 2 across on the right-hand side, and there was a gap in between that Asgard got into. Then they came up here, they had a set play, which, was worked on the training ground. They kind of missed that a little bit in terms of, you could see the structure. A deep long ball from Dembele to Mbappe at the back post, his little layback, and a shot that could easily have resulted in a goal. Brilliant set play. And when all the other teams, including Scotland, are talking about things that they do well or trying to do well, here's a team that are the best in the world at the moment, proving they are again. Best at playing the ball, best at scoring goals, and we're seeing there the quality of the set play, so they're good at everything.
So it's 2-1 to France here. Senegal 1 Iran, nil. Iraq down to 10 men. Live over on TalkSport 2 at the moment, as well as our live commentaries at this World Cup. We've got unprecedented coverage on our social media as well. Just follow us on Instagram, X, TikTok. We've got live shows streaming on YouTube as well, and plenty of podcast coverage, including the TalkSport World Cup Daily, which is out every morning from 7 a.m. But the big headline tomorrow night is certainly Panama against England, which kicks off at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Final words from Guy Stéphane, the France assistant, at least for now, at the end of this hydration break, and from Ståle Solbakken for the Norway players as well. I mean, that goal from a neutral's perspective for Norway is a great one, I think, Mark, because it puts the jeopardy back into the game as a contest in the race for the top spot in Group I.
It does, and it asks a few questions of France. You know, they'll be disappointed with that. Deschamps would certainly have been disappointed with that, and the caretaker down there will be disappointed because he wants a clean sheet. He's not got that, so he's now got to take it on again. But, you know, France is still a big danger. We've seen it already on the counter. We've seen it already through the play, and we've seen it there on set plays.
Well, I've just had a message from TalkSport commentator Jim Proudfoot. 14 seconds from the time Norway kicked off after conceding their second, and the goal that has got them back into the game. So a sense of how the French just lost composure and concentration for a few moments, and at international level that can so easily be punished as Norway get the game restarted, trailing as they do by 2-1, and it's given away by France and Mbappe. Torstvedt through towards Bob. Strand Larsen couldn't get the ball out of his feet to find the diminutive Bob, who joined Fulham from Manchester City halfway through the season. And France have won it back with Elise dropping very deep into a central area midway inside his own half of the field. Elise is such a talent that he's scary to watch at times, really. He is such an enigmatic young player, and his first World Cup, the first of many to come, Mark McGee.
My goodness, he's been brilliant in this first 25 minutes. You know, we've looked at Mbappe, and Dembele's got the 2 goals, but the absolute root of it is Elise. He's been brilliant. He's popping up here, he's popping up there. He popped up there 10 yards outside his own box, cleaning up, making sure they defended well. He's all over the pitch.
Here is Chouameni, midway inside his own half the field. Chouameni with a crossfield ball, went from right to left, but too long for Doué. You can hear the ironic cheers maybe of the Norway fans as the ball sweeps out of play, and Norway have got to throw down on the near side.
You know, I spoke when they announced the teams about my admiration for Chouameni. I love him, but, you know, today I've seen him already just at the last passage at the edge of the France box. He was the one that let someone run. You know, he's not really looking as if he's 100% at it. He's just knocked one straight out of play.
Shelder up on the turn for Norway. Infield from the left hand side, back out wide to Bjorkan. 3 in the middle to aim at here for Bjorkan. Goal scorer Asgard is waiting on the edge of the D. He's got the ball now a little further back than that. Asgard glides away from Elise. Good sidestep from Asgard. Now wide left is the fullback Bjorkan again, and it's with Shelderup. Shelderup tries a little 1-2. Lovely back heel by Asgard. Shelderup into the area, low cross into the near post. Can Strand Larsen put it in? He can't. It's gathered by Magnon.
Well, I mean, that was a la Mbappe and Dembele. Brilliant from the Norwegians. A little back heel, you know, for the man running behind, and almost resulted in a goal.
There's a little scramble at the front post. Upamecano and Magnon between them just about managed to do enough as the sun comes back out again here in Boston.
You can see the confidence that the goal's given Norway. You know, they're different animals now since they scored the goal.
Took them 10-15 minutes to really get started, in fact longer than that, but since they have got themselves back into the game, they look a much more enterprising team. Nearly half an hour got on TalkSport. Norway 1, France 2. Here is Arsenis out on the right, the fullback, crosses the halfway line, does the shaven-headed Arsenis, who usually plays his football in midfield, but he's deputising at fullback today because Julian Ryerson of Dortmund is injured. Ostigard crossfield, big diagonal ball, and that is overhit and out of play for a throw to France.
Well, I think what Solbakken will be happy with as well is that, Norway are now forcing France to work that little bit harder. France were picking and choosing when they upped the tempo. They were passing the ball around a little bit, and they eventually got up to Mbappe, who would get it wide for Dembele. But now they're forcing them to defend, and we can feel the heat up here, so they're feeling it down there, and Solbakken will be a lot happier that France have been made to use up some energy.
Yeah, very warm, about 25 degrees today. Patrick Berg for Norway on the halfway line, and Bjorkan back to Ostigard. Ostigard with the white boots on. He looks up, waiting for runners in red shirts. Instead, thinks better of going long and drifts back towards his own centre circle, clips the ball downfield, and it's nudged only half away by Theo Hernandez. Torsfet through. Strand Larsen tries to get to the loose ball, but he's sandwiched in between a combination of Chouameni and Upamecano, and in the end, France actually defended that pretty well.
Yeah, but it was good play again, just a little bit overhit the pass, and it allowed Upamecano to get across, but again, good attacking play from Norway.
Now coming forward over the halfway line is Kone for France. Chouameni out wide to Dembele on a hat-trick. Dembele again turning infield onto his left foot, looks for Elise, found a little pocket of space in between the Norway midfield and back line. It's with Mbappe, wide left to Doué on the overlap. Doué taking on the defender Arsenis. He's played it back into the path of Kone. Kone squared, Chouameni rolls it forward. Dembele, lovely football this. Dembele thinks about the curling shot. He gets it away and gets his hat-trick. Stand up and applaud Ousmane Dembele with a World Cup hat-trick. He is living the World Cup dream. Hoisted up high by Kylian Mbappe, and absolutely rightly so. This time it's the turn of the France captain to move aside and let Dembele take the plaudits. Norway 1, France 3. What a way again for Dembele to claim his hat-trick.
The patience they showed, passing the ball around a little bit in between, and when he jiggles the ball, he comes inside once, he comes inside twice, and that finish is just absolutely fantastic. What you'd say about it is world class. That's what it is, it's world class, and that's what you're seeing from France today. Norway have bounced back, but we knew the threat was there. There was a ball went into Elise a minute ago that absolutely landed under his feet and between his feet, and he had no right to keep possession, but he did, and he got it away, and 2 passes later it ends up at Dembele, and he scores a magnificent goal.
Who's the new name in the race for the Golden Boot? It's Ousmane Dembele. He's level with Haaland, he's level with Mbappe, now he's chasing Messi, having not scored Dembele in his first 19 major tournament appearances. Now suddenly he's got 4 in 2. And he's been too good for the Norway backline and goalkeeper in this first half. A sparkling first half for Dembele, who is proving that he is one of the superstars to be here at this World Cup. He can compete on the biggest stage. 3-1 to France, and we've still got 12 minutes of the first half to go. A brilliant first half to watch.
We shouldn't be surprised. The quality of his season last season with his club, Ballon d'Or winner, and absolutely fantastic player.
Strand Larsen has collected
just shows you the strength and depth that they have.
Good work by Lacroix getting in front of Strand Larsen there, and now Elise is on the counter. He's racing up the middle. He's got 2 ahead of him. To the right is Dembele. Mbappe through the middle. Dembele out on the right hand side again. He takes on Bjorkan. He's looking for his 4th. Dembele lays it back. Chouameni with a right-footed shot, which is over the top by a long way. You wouldn't But against Dembele getting more goals, the mood that he's in, Mark McGee.
No, Oscar Bob did well defensively there, coming in off his line and going into the centre to help defend, and he just put enough pressure on the shot, and it did go over the bar.
A first World Cup hat-trick in the first half of a World Cup game since Oleg Salenko for Russia against Cameroon at USA 94. We've waited a long time for a first half World Cup hat-trick, and Dembele's delivered it.
Well, as a centre forward, I absolutely love hat-tricks. It's not, it's a rare thing, really. I know that Harry Kane in Germany scores them every week, but and Dembele gets a few, but they are really a rare thing, and to get one at this level in a game here is just fantastic.
Now Mbappe tries to take on Østigard, blocked off by Østigard. You wonder if it stays 3-1, whether Norway will think about changes. Do they think about Haaland at half-time? Remember, Haaland's on the bench today.
I'm not sure, because I think if Solbakken acts too early, as if in panic, then it's going to be a little bit embarrassing for him. If he feels he has to bring on the heavyweights when he's made a statement by picking this team and saying that this game isn't important. So it's not important then, it's not important now.
Schjelderup racing up the middle for Norway, but his pass angled towards Strand Larsen, not good enough, though he was caught from behind late, right in front of Michael Oliver, who pulls the play back for a free kick to Norway midway inside the France half. It's 3-1 to France, live here on Talk Sport. We've got 9 minutes plus any added time to come.
Yeah, Joe, I think that if Solbakken starts to bring in the big guns, to try and win this game, then he's contradicting everything that he did picking this team. So I think he's going to let him get on with it and hope that they can rally a little bit and keep them a little bit contained. And we still might see, Haaland towards the end.
They know they're through already, Norway, as do France, but France are going to win the group. They would face one of the third place teams in the round of 32 at the moment. That's Sweden, as the free kick is whipped in by Berg, high towards Østigard, who's already scored at this World Cup, but he's beaten in the air by his opposite number, the France number 4, Upamecano. And now Elise with a clever little Cruyff turn out on the right-hand side, but not clever enough to prevent him from going out for a throw. Berg, sturdy presence in the middle of midfield for Norway. Back to the halfway line, Bjorkan, Berg again, their club teammates at Bodo Glimt. Into the central area drifts Torstven. It's back to Østigard again. Østigard will play it square just to his left, and Bjorkan once more. Norway 1, France 3. Good noise around the stadium today, particularly actually from the Norway fans, who may be being outscored, outgunned on the field, but they're not being outsung in the stands. Crossfield ball by Østigard is poor, overhit and well over the head of Bob.
Hernandez at left back's doing a brilliant job in positioning. They're making it almost impossible to get the ball to Oscar Bob. Every time they look up, they're trying to find him with something impossible like that long ball there. It's just too difficult to drop it into that sort of size of space. So Oscar Bob is getting no breathing space whatsoever.
Chouameni has it for France in the centre circle, square ball to Upamecano, out wide, early touch by Dembele, trying to thread it through the middle, cleared away by Østigard, not very far. Mbappe's got it back, and Mbappe plays another elegant crossfield ball. It sails onto the right boot of Doué, sticks to that right boot like glue. Doué taking on the defender, looking to dart in between two of them, but between them Bob and Arsenal do well, and it's cleared upfield by the latter, high towards Strand Larsen, who wins the flick on, but nobody in red anywhere near him. Very isolated up front, the Crystal Palace man, and it's won back by France again. Good turn by Elise, with Mbappe making a run through the middle. Elise goes wide to the right. Dembele is going to cut in field, surely onto the left. He plays it back to Chouameni. Now Kone takes over. Kone out to the near side. Doué left corner of the area. Mbappe tries to spin and turn. Good defending by Falconer. Went through the back of Mbappe but got the ball. That was the key inside the penalty area. Falconer, on just his second ever cap for Norway, does well, and he clears upfield towards Strand Larsen, beat by Upamecano. Upamecano, but Asgard first to the loose ball. Shelderup then slips on halfway. Jules Koundé wins it back, but is adjudged to have fouled Shelderup by Michael Oliver.
I'm not even sure if it wasn't just a handball, but the balls up to Strand Larsen need to be good balls. They need to give him a chance of keeping the ball, because what Norway are going is from the back to front to beat the France press. So they beat the French press. To do that, he has to keep the ball. So the ball has to be up to his feet, not as happened twice in quick succession here, balls that he's having to head because there's nobody around him.
Another poor diagonal ball from Ostigard. Again, it sails over the head of his teammate Shelderup and swept straight out of play. Leo Ostigard, who now plays in Italy with Genoa. The head coach, Stana Solbakken, has now retreated to the dugout. He's in conversation with one of his assistants on the near side. Still Senegal 1, Iraq 0. Live on TalkSport 2 in a scoreline that knocks Scotland out of the top 8 in the race to be one of the best third place sides. Still a little bit of hope for Scotland, but that hope is, I'm afraid, diminishing very quickly for the Tartan Army. Chouameni with a ball out to the right hand side, and the long head Koundé feeds it quickly into the feet of Elise. Elise with the dancing footwork as he wriggles his way infield. Now he slows the play down. Dembele's in the centre now for France. Already scored a hat-trick. Out on the left is Doué. Left corner of the penalty area. Doué onto the right hand side, edge of the D. Doué still going, marshalled by 3 in red, but they can't get a tackling on him. Eventually France have to go backwards to Upamecano. 4 minutes of the first half to go. 4 more minutes of punishment maybe for the Norway back line. And if France get a fourth, Mark McGee, then it's as good as over.
Well, when it went 2, we thought it was over then, but Norway were good enough and big enough to bounce back. So, we're not ruling them out yet, but the next thing that looks like happening is that France will get another goal.
Given away by Dembele, one back by Bjorkan, away on the Norway left, far side of the field, a long way from our commentary position. Good turn out on the left back position by Shelderup, dropping very deep, and Torstvedt likewise. It's with Ostigard on the edge of his own penalty area. Square to Falcon, a terrible back pass, and in goes Doué, and down goes the goalkeeper, who's able to win it back. Brave goalkeeping by Selvik. Doué should really have scored, tried to take it round the Watford goalkeeper, who makes an impressive save.
Another one of those Scotland moments, a dreadful error that almost resulted in a goal, but the keeper did brilliantly.
Shelderup with a low ball in for Norway, deflected behind for a corner. Yes, shades of Scott McKenna against Brazil in Miami. We were there then. We're live inside the stadium in Boston now, and Norway get away with it, but they do have a set piece here, Mark McGee.
Yeah, but when they're building up, they need Strand Larsen on the side the ball's on. They won't find them from the left hand side there when he's in the middle. He needs to get across, so it has to happen in 2 moves, not 1.
Well, Patrick Berg will take the corner, 20 forward in red. Everybody back here for France in the 43rd minute, driven in right-footed, header across by Asgard, and beaten was Ostigard at the vital moment, and now France are on the counter. Elise over the halfway line, he's gliding forward, he's got so many forward in support, into the penalty area goes Dembele again, he's played it square rather than go for goal, and Norway get it clear. They hang on for now, in by Dembele, over the head of Kylian Mbappe, and the ball will soar out of play in the end for a throw to Norway, but it should have been 4 for France.
Again, finding that slide rule pass through the gap there was just brilliant by France, but I think that Dembele suddenly remembered that he's got 3 goals and maybe he shouldn't be too selfish and try to get somebody else on the end of something. 20 minutes ago I think he'd have went at a shot, but now he's spreading out a little bit. I can understand why, but brilliant play again.
Well, that was, for a moment, 5 on 2.
It was a charge of the Light Brigade, it was, you're right, and outnumbered, but managed to scramble it away, Norway.
France will keep coming, playing from right to left in the first half. Minutes of normal time to play with stoppage time to come. Here is Mbappe on the near side, being France left, Doué rather. It's with Kone, who gets away from Torstvedt and bursts down the left hand side at real pace. Couple of step overs, Kone square, been penalised for a foul on Asgard.
Great play by Dewey, and getting in behind in a little ball. I think it was Mbappe that just played that ball, a little ball in behind. He almost went in, but again, the goalkeeper did brilliantly to smother it.
Perfect weight on the pass from Mbappe, just caressed that off his right foot, and Kone was clear, but right in front of him was the tall figure of Egil Selvik, who's not been particularly well protected by the Norway back line. He's conceded 3 goals, yet you'd probably say he's had a decent game.
Well, we had the betting odds before the game, and he was one of the ones that might be fancied to be man of the match because of what he's going to have to do and the attack that he's going to have to face, but he's certainly living up to it at the moment. He's done brilliantly.
5 added at the end of the first half on Talk Sport. Norway 1, France 3. France have it back inside their own half of the field. Lacroix, he's giving it straight to Asgard. The ball ricochets off Asgard and it's hoisted clear by Chouameni. Not always impressive on the ball, France, and they were certainly careless there, but what a raking ball that was from Koundé out to the left-hand side. It travelled 50 yards to Doué. Doué races infield onto the right foot, lays it square. They're queuing up. Elise over the top this time, right-footed with a really well-hit shot, but too much height on it in the end. Caught it cleanly, and over the bar it goes.
Great play by Doué, running inside, threatening again, and then laying it off to Elise. Disappointed in his shot. That was a scoring opportunity for a player of his ability.
They're standing waiting for that square pass at times, France, and one touch and they're in. And Norway have no means of dealing with this ferocious France attack at the moment.
But it's the determination to get the ball back as well. These aren't just players that play when they're on the ball and play when they've got an opportunity to shoot a goal. They're working so hard. When Norway get the ball, they're after them. And they win the ball back as quick as they possibly can.
Chouameni to Elise, who was sandwiched in between Schelderup and Asgard. Tug on the shirt of Elise from Schelderup, and that'll be a free kick to France. And Elise has been floating effortlessly in the final third, linking up the play, whether he's right, left or centre, and he is a joy to watch, as are this France team when they're in full flow. We've had 2 of the 5 added minutes at the end of the first half. Still 3-1 to the French, and the prospect of more to come in the second half, no doubt.
We talked about Lon Shanklin in the Scotland game. The same with Strand Larsen. He cannot play one touch. He's got to take a hit there. If he tries to bring it down, if he gets hit, if he gets fouled or whatever he does, he's got to keep the ball. He can't play it or just lay it off blind first time.
Kone, 30 yards out, blocked off as he races up the middle. In the way was Telo Asgard with a good interception, and now Torsved's touch, heavy, one back by Mbappe. He's been very industrious in this game, Kylian Mbappe, despite not getting on the score sheet himself yet. Chouameni to the right. Here goes Dembele again. Dembele laying it out wide for the overlap of Chouameni, and he is blocked off for the first attempt. Keeps it in play. No, it's gone behind. Double deflection off Chouameni, who thought he'd done enough to loft it back in at the second attempt, but the referee says it is a goal kick.
Before the tournament started, Kylian Mbappe talked about wanting to do more defensively, want to do more from the team perspective and not just be the guy up front, and we've seen that. Look at that, he's running back there, he's winning the ball back and he's setting them off again, and he's still the one that's up there when the ball arrives.
Lionel Messi at the top of the World Cup scoring charts, 5 so far. Haaland, Mbappe, Dembele and Vinicius Junior all on 4. That is pretty decent company.
Not a bad front 5.
Can you imagine them all playing together? Here is Elise. France have certainly got a front 4 to sparkle in any tournament game, and we haven't even got to Barcola and Cherki off the bench yet. Chouameni at walking pace now on the edge of the centre circle, lip of the centre circle. Mbappe with the right foot steers the ball almost nonchalantly out to the far side of the field, and Dembele with a couple of step overs at quick pace. Then suddenly France slow the game down again with a minute of the first half added time remaining. It's the kind of half of football that certainly if you're a France fan you don't want to end, but as a neutral likewise here live on Talk Sport, it's been a procession of quality attacking football football from France in particular, though Norway have also played their part. They've scored and they've looked dangerous on more than one occasion, but the link-up play between the France players is just beautiful to watch. Dembele again on the right-hand side. Again, he tries to torment Bjorkan. Infield to Elise, back to Koundé. Last few seconds, chip ball into the area by Dembele is slightly miscued, and Mbappe can't get their goal kick.
If you watch Elise, he just puts himself equidistant from the full-back, the centre-half, the midfield player, puts himself in this little gaps. The left-back, the left-side centre-half and the left-side midfield player, they're not sure which one of them's got to go to him. And as a result, they get the ball into him, and when one of them makes that decision, he's good enough then to exploit the movement and get the ball in behind him. He's getting the ball to Dembele brilliantly.
Half-time, and the star of the show is going to be the first man racing down the tunnel, Ousmane Dembele, with the first World Cup hat-trick to be scored in a first half of a game since 1994. An extraordinary opening 45 minutes for France's number 7, who is now right in the race for the Golden Boot. A glorious hat-trick. Asgard pulling one back for Norway, but there's no doubt who the star of the show is tonight in Boston, and it's neither Haaland nor Mbappe. Norway 1, France 3. And need an abacus sometimes at this World Cup for all the changes and all of the personnel, but there will be at least 2 for Norway. Marcus Holmgren Pedersen is coming on, and Morten Thorsby as well. Now those 2 are both nominally fullbacks, so we may see changes in that position for Norway. Bjorkan, who had a torrid time against Dembele, has gone off, and Holmgren Pedersen will replace him. The other change is Thorsby on in place of Torst Vet, so I think that means that Arsnes will move into midfield where he is a little more comfortable, but they have made 2 defensive-minded changes at the break, and I don't think anybody is particularly surprised about that, Mark McGee, given the way the first half panned out. No,
particularly Bjorkan. He was turned inside out by Dembele. He didn't know whether to go right, go left, and Dembele's come inside, curled 2 with his left foot and smashed one in with his right foot, so it's so difficult to defend against.
Dembele has a hat-trick. France lead 3-1. France going to win the group as it stands, and Norway will finish second. Norway will play the Ivory Coast on Tuesday the 30th of June in Dallas, and France will play one of the third place sides in New York the same night, and at the moment that third place team is going to be Sweden as the ball is cleared away by Østigard. So the game back underway. Norway from right to left in the second half, all in red, and France who lead 3-1 thanks to Dembele's wonderful hat-trick, and watching replays of the hat-trick on the big screen again and again and again, the oohs and the ahs from the France supporters marvelling in what they've been seeing as Arsenal goes long and it's headed out of play. So I'll give you the 2 teams in just a moment, but what have you spotted, Mark McGee, pointing
I was just going to make the point that his team will want to keep going for Kylian Mbappe. They know he wants goals and they want to get him goals, so there'll be no let up. They're not going to sit back and accept the 3-1 scoreline. They're going to keep going. They're going to try to create chances. They're going to try and get him on the score sheet for sure.
Well, Mbappe and Dembele are now level as far as the race for the Golden Boot is concerned, both on 4, along with Haaland, who's on the bench still, and Vinicius Junior as well. Messi the outright top scorer with 5 as Norway had possession with Østigard midway inside his own half the field. So they're all in red, right to left towards the end that houses the Norway fans, and France here in their change kits, the light mint-coloured kit, playing from left to right towards the France end, and lots of empty seats, thousands at the start of the second half, with many of the supporters still in the vast concourse areas as we look down from high up in the main stand. And the Norway team, Selvik in goal, Arsnes has stayed at right back actually, with Falconer, Ostergaard and now Holmgren, Pedersen in defence. Torsby, Berg and Asgard, who has looked good in midfield. Bob, Schelderup and Strand Larsen are the front three. Ostergaard rolls it back to Selvik, the goalkeeper, who was a somewhat beleaguered figure in the first half but did make a couple of really good saves. Selvik clatters the ball high and long up towards Strand Larsen, over the head of him and Upamecano. Not a particularly good header cleared by Maxence Lacroix. And now Asgard, quick-footed, out to the left-hand side. Schelderup, left corner of the penalty area, shuffles infield, picks out Oscar Bob towards the edge of the D. Now he tees up Arsenal's clever little flick into the path of Bob again, and Bob is beyond the defender. He twists and turns beyond Teo Hernandez and wins a penalty. Foul by Teo Hernandez and a penalty kick to Norway just 3 minutes into the second half.
Brilliant play by Oscar Bob, sucked him in completely, went right, went left, eventually turned back towards the touchline and it tempted him into that challenge. Great play.
Well, it had to be a spot kick. VAR, of course, will check it, but Michael Oliver in a great position to see it, and he points to the spot. The only question for Norway is who will take it at this point. Strand Larsen has got the ball in his hands. Berg and Arsenal's having a word with the referee. Mike Magnon is not exactly racing to get back to his line, the France goalkeeper, on this pitch that is bathed in the Boston sunshine, and I think VAR is just making sure, absolutely sure, that it is a penalty. But the weaving footwork of Bob, too quick for France.
And what a great moment, for the Norway supporters behind that goal. They'll be sucking it into the back of that net, desperate for to get another goal and believe that maybe they can get back into this game.
Jørgen Strand Larsen, usually used off the bench in competitive games for Norway, admits that he has to understand the reality of playing behind Erling Haaland and indeed Alexander Sorloth as well. But he, without either of those two on the field, will take up responsibility to try and put Norway back into the game. Magnon, arms outstretched on his goal line. It'll be a right-footed run-up from the edge of the penalty area to bring Norway back into it again. Here goes Strand Larsen, hands on hips, right-footed, stuttered run-up, saved by Magnon, away to the left-hand side. Bob then delivers the cross, it's gone behind, and what on earth is going on with these stuttered run-ups for penalty kicks? When will players learn that they just do not work? Mike Magnon makes the save, still 3-1 to France.
You can accept a goalkeeper saving a penalty kick, but these, as you say, these stuttered run-ups, I would want to take him off. It's absolutely, costly for his team. That was the moment that might get him back in. That was the moment for the supporters, and he's done this ridiculous routine that we see quite often in the Premier League and quite often in the Championship and quite often in Scotland, but I would never have it.
We've seen it in Champions League finals and it hasn't worked. France under pressure now, trying to play out from the back. That's another frustration of mine. Maxence Lacroix clears forward upfield. Bad miss in the first half from Strand Larsen, remember, and he's missed a penalty too. Here is Bob raiding down the right hand side. What can he do again? Infield onto the left foot, lays it back to Asgard. Good play this from Norway, but they still trail by 3-1. Schelderup, left edge of the area, plays it square, could run back to him, nearly ran towards Strand Larsen, who would have had a virtual free shot, but he can't get it away. Now France are countering with Doué through to Kylian Mbappé. Goalkeeper Selvik out well at his feet to make a sprawling save. What a start to the second half here on TalkSport.
Absolutely brilliant. Kylian Mbappe's a whisker away there. The ball was just overhit just that little bit, but again, the keeper Selvik out down to his feet and sweeps it off his feet. Brilliant goalkeeping, brilliant sweeper play.
Former Scotland assistant Mark McGee is with us here in the commentary box. Mbappe is tying his laces at the moment. I will give you the France team. Magnon in goal, Koundé, Upamecano, Lacroix and Teo Hernandez, Kone and Chouameni, Dembele, Elise and Doué behind Mbappe up front. 3-1 to France, though not without their defensive vulnerabilities, France, Mark.
No, and also the way that Norway have started started much better than they started the first half, when they looked a little bit, lacking in confidence and a little bit in awe of their opposition. But this half they came out, they've got at them, they've kept the ball well. Oscar Bob's got involved. We talked about the difficulty he was having getting into the game, but now he is, and he's causing them a few problems.
And they still have their not-so-secret weapon, Erling Haaland, on the bench. Bob again with the dancing feet, gliding to the edge of the penalty area now. It's all Norway at the moment. Bob, return ball into the area towards him, but the diminutive winger can't keep it in play this time, and it's a goal kick to France, who haven't really got started at all in the second half.
The way that we might end up seeing Haaland, which we'd all love to do, is if they were to get a second goal, and maybe with 20 minutes to go, if it's 3-2, and Solbakken thinks, well, maybe we can get something out of this if we deploy Haaland.
Well, that penalty save by Magnon, the first penalty save at this World Cup, which has been allowed to stand. Strand Larsen chests it down with his back to goal, juggles the ball up, trying to swing it into the opposition penalty area, but France have got it back again with Koundé in the right back position. Koundé rattles the ball up the near side touchline. They can't really keep the ball at the moment, France. Norway giving it a real go early on in the second half, live on TalkSport, where they trail 3-1. Shelderup scampering down the left-hand side, blocked off by the challenge of Kone, stepped across Shelderup, sent him to ground, but managed to poke the ball away from danger in doing so. Now Norway get a corner, a little slow from Upamecano, and France a little one-footed in this second half so far.
Yeah, Tchouameni had to sort of help there. They doubled up on him, and Norway somehow still managed to retain possession, and they've won a corner, which is always a good advantage. They've worked at this for weeks. We can see the signal.
Well, Norway, with the joint tallest squad at the World Cup, set pieces are a big thing for them. Berg whips in the corner, headed across goal and wide. Jumping for it was Ostergaard, who has scored at this World Cup. Glancing header, wide of goal, still 3-1 to France.
I think Ostergaard did well with his run, but I think he's got to do a little bit better with his header. He tries to kind of flick it, whether he's trying to flick it into the far corner, I'm not sure, but he needs to get a little bit more on it. That was a good opportunity. It was a great delivery.
Now Magnon has shanked his clearance straight out of play. 3-1 to France, 1-0 to Senegal against the 10 men of Iraq. And that scoreline, by the way, knocks Scotland out of the top 8 in the race to be one of the best placed, third place teams. They're dropping down to 9th Scotland, and they need a whole succession of results to go their way, and goal difference to go their way as well. Doesn't look like being the case. Reminder, the Scots on 3 points, but with a -3 goal difference, and that could be the fatal factor for Steve Clarke's team at the World Cup. It doesn't look like they'll be going to Mexico City to play Mexico. The ball is cleared upfield by Selvik. That, of course, would be in the round of 32. As France win the ball back half the field with Elise. Elise gallops down the middle onto the favoured left foot of Elise. He's worked it wide left to Desiree Doué. France a little sluggish early in the second half. Mbappe curling shot, not far away. Anything sluggish about him is almost never to be seen.
I think that shot came out a little bit of him being impatient. He's waited a long time to get another shot in, and he's taken it, whereas I think that he probably wasn't quite on to have that shot in the hope that he would hit the target. Maybe he needed to play one more pass and get back on it, or get someone else on it.
Well, Selvik, the Norwegian goalkeeper, has gone to ground, and the referee is going to wave on the medical personnel here. Here come the 2 physios, so the game is stopped. 3-1 France lead. More live World Cup football tomorrow for you. All starts at 1 a.m. Uruguay against Spain on TalkSport. Cape Verde against Saudi Arabia is on TalkSport 2. At 4 a.m, New Zealand take on Belgium on TalkSport. Egypt against Iran is on 2. And then tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, Croatia against Ghana, live on TalkSport 2. Panama against England is live here on TalkSport. We've got build-up all day, and it's followed by a World Cup Game Day Sports Bar, where you can have your say on 03717 223344. TalkSport, the place you want to be for Panama against England. Last game in the group, and England still to confirm confirm qualification. Selvik being treated here, and what is good obviously is the recent change in the rules, Mark, which means that even though he's gone down the goalkeeper, none of the players out on the pitch should be able to come over to the near side touchline and get some instructions or tactical info or anything like that.
Yeah, and we saw the referee reminding of him that he'd a shout over to the side, and then the fourth official down there, he got involved with both benches, and sending them back to their dugout. Be a real blow if the goalie can't continue. He's done so well, but he looks on his feet and he looks to be okay.
On his feet. When do we see Erling Haaland? Do we see Erling Haaland in this game, Mark McGee? I wonder.
I don't think at 3-1 you do. I think it's 3-2 you may, when they really think there's something in it for them, but I don't think you'll see him before that, because I think, as I said, I think that would be a contradiction to the fact that he played the team he played, where he was saying, as you said, Joe, rightly, he clearly was making a statement that this game didn't really matter. So it won't suddenly matter in the sense that he has to be desperate and bring on Haaland and bring on the big guns. But if he can bring him on in the hope that maybe they nick a draw and Haaland gets a goal, then he might do that for the last 20 minutes.
Well, he's back on his feet. There's the sight of a helicopter very close to the stadium here, over on the far side of the field. You can probably hear it just above the top of the row of floodlights as Norway get a throw on the near side. A very entertaining game. The highlight of the second half so far, Magnon's penalty save, the first penalty save by a France goalkeeper at a World Cup in regulation play for 40 years. That's obviously excluding shootouts. As Berg comes forward, blocked off by the slide challenge of Chouameni. Koundé back to Magnon. Magnon hoists the ball downfield as the helicopter looks like it's left the area of the stadium now. I thought that was your luxury transport, Mark McGee. Coming to pick you up afterwards. Here is Arsenal's to Torsby, wearing number 2 inside the centre circle. In fairness to Norway, and we did criticise the team selection, they have actually played some good football today.
They have, and they have threatened at times, so it's not just been they've been playing in front of France, they've threatened France. But, this second half, France have not started anywhere as near fluently as they were in that first period, where they really went after it, and some of their play and some of the chances they created were just different class.
Sloppy touch from Theo Hernandez on the halfway line, and then Chouameni goes in to win it back ahead of Schelderup. France work the ball wide to Dembele, who has scored a hat-trick already. An hour gone, 3-1 France lead. Dembele onto the left foot, another weaving run. The ball deflects high, spins up into the air towards the far side, the left, and now Mbappe takes up possession. France's peerless number 10, turning his Doué, 25 yards out left of centre. As we look at it, Doué just rolls the ball across to Dembele once more. Corner of the penalty area. Back it goes now to Chouameni. Doué, Elise, Dembele and Mbappe. Is there a better front four at this World Cup? There may not be. That could be so crucial for France. Down goes Doué, winning a free kick. Right of centre, 25 yards out. Frederick Arsenault's committing the foul. Very close to Michael Oliver.
I'm loving the way that, they swap positions. Drew comes inside and Mbappe ends up in his position on the far side at the back post there. So they don't all get out of position. So it's not a case of Drew running over here and they're all over here. They swap around, they move around, but they keep the basic same shape.
Standing over this is Elise, who has been known to hit free kicks from a long way out, but surely this is a little too far for him. Best part of 30 yards, angled towards the right. Elise delivers a cross into the penalty area, and the ball is turned behind at the back post by Lacroix, of all people. I think he was in an offside position anyway, the Crystal Palace man.
Decent ball though. Again, the deliveries throughout, whether it be corner kicks or a couple of free kicks, the delivery's been excellent.
Senegal 2, Iraq 0, a latest score as Bob tries to nutmeg Theo Hernandez. That Senegal-Iraq game is live on TalkSport 2 right now. We'll have think it's Ismail Assar who has got the second goal, having a very good World Cup. Ismail Assar, like a number of Crystal Palace players at this tournament, and we talked about yesterday on our World Cup Daily podcast, available every day from 7 a.m. on TalkSport, about just how many Sunderland players have scored at this World Cup as well. Extraordinary tally. I think it's at least 5. Theo Hernandez for France, into the path of Mbappe. He races into the area, blocked off by Ostergaard, and then a little touch by Torsby. Did that hit Doué last, but he's kept it in down by the corner flag anyway. France are 3-1 up. Oh, and Doué tries to juggle the ball over Arsenis, who then stands in his way. He won't have any of that showboating, will the Norway right back, but you can understand the intent given the confidence of these France players, Mark McGee.
Yeah, and as a defender, I think he was quite right. He's tried to take the mickey out of him, trying to flick it over with his heel over his head, but he got close to him and he saw it, and he got the break. He got the rub of the green and the one to throw in.
Impudent piece of skill, though it didn't quite come off. Strand Larsen has won Norway a free kick, 10 yards shy of the halfway line. Credit to the Norway fans, they're on their feet, the vast majority of them, the bulk behind the goal. They've been making plenty of noise, a sea of red behind the goal to the left-hand side. Early ball by Arsenis upfield is a good one. Down the inside right channel, held up by Strand Larsen. He'll knock it wide to Oscar Bob. 3 in the middle to aim at, including Asgard. Bob goes alone onto the left foot, and then his shot lacks any power because at the vital moment, one of the France players got across in front of him. I think it was Hernandez to just block him off, and the shot was taken.
Strand Larsen did his job there. He was isolated against the centre half, but he managed to keep it and he managed to get them into the game.
France win the ball back now. Kylian Mbappe into the penalty area. He wants a goal here. Onto his right foot. The shot is blocked. Maybe a little too selfish. Maybe he should have played it square to Elise. Although who am I to criticise Mbappe and tell him what to do? 16 goals in 16 World Cup appearances coming into today. Mbappe back to goal is blocked off by Ostergaard, who nudges it high upfield. Strand Larsen chases. Lacroix is there. How about the two who are about to come on for France here, Mark McGee? Barcola, linked with Arsenal as we know, and Cherki of Manchester City.
Yeah, there's not much pace about those two either, so nothing changes for Norway. They take off great players and they bring on great players.
Senegal 3, the 10 men of Iraq 0. Senegal likely to qualify as one of the best third place teams. It now looks unlikely for Scotland. That Senegal-Iraq game live on TalkSport 2. Here on TalkSport, France come forward again. Dembele marauding down on goal and trying to whip in a low cross that is deflected behind by Holmgren Pedersen for a corner to the French. Now, do they want to make those changes now, or are they going to hang on? They want to make the changes now, and leaving the field, and I hope to a standing ovation from all around the stadium here, 60,000 in the crowd, is Dembele, and he's being applauded off by Mark McGee, as is Elise. Here come Barcola and Cherki.
Not bad when you can arguably take off your two best players and still feel as if you've not weakened it too much. Great chance for Cherki. We want to see him. We know his ability. We see it in the Premier League every week. A brilliant player, and let's hope that he brings it here.
Well, the France supporting cast have definitely brought the goals today. Corner for France, left-footed in by Cherki, headed away only to Mbappe at the back post. He lobs it back in, not too far wide, but in the end, Strand Larsen and the goalkeeper were pretty sure they could let it drop, dip out of play, as Norway prepared to make another substitution themselves, and it will be Derby County's Sondre Langas to take to the field. Big moment for Langas, just his fourth international cap, and what a proud moment for any player representing your country at a World Cup, and on he comes in place of Falconer.
two things have happened in the last 5 minutes. Kylian Mbappe tried to have a shot when he probably shouldn't have, and Dembele didn't have a shot when he probably should have. And I think it reflects where they are in the game. Dembele's got his hat trick, and Kylian Mbappe hasn't got a goal yet. So I think in another circumstances that would be reversed. Kylian Mbappe would have, passed the ball, and if it was 0-0, Dembele would have had a shot.
They've certainly given it a good go, Norway, in the second half in particular, but perhaps that Magnon penalty save a turning point, because if they had got back into it at that stage, they really could have gone full pelt, perhaps brought Haaland on. As it stands, it doesn't look as though Haaland will get onto the field. France will win the group. They will play, as it stands, Sweden in New York, New Jersey on the 30th of June. That's on Tuesday in the last 32. And Norway would play Ivory Coast, which could be a very interesting game in Dallas on the same day.
It definitely offers Norway an opportunity, doesn't it? They're not playing one of the really big guns. Ivory Coast are an excellent team, and they've done brilliantly in this World Cup, but I think Norway will fancy that.
Many people's dark horses, Norway, at the start of the tournament. The third Senegal goal, by the way, scored by Pat Gay with his first touch having come on. Senegal 3, Iraq 0 on TalkSport 2 at the moment. Make sure you download our free app, and that way you can swipe between our stations at your leisure. The French flags are flying high as the hydration break begins and the music starts up again. The tricolour, the blue, white and red, high above the heads of many of the France supporters. It hasn't been vintage France in the second half so far, Mark McGee, but look, you can't argue with 3 wins, at least 9 goals, topping the group as well.
And, remember the temperatures here, so it's energy sapping. There'll be a certain amount of energy conserving going on down there. The assistant manager will have told them, look, keep the ball, conserve energy. If we make another chance, we make another goal, that'll be fine. But in the meantime, be vigilant, keep it tight at the back, keep it tight in midfield, but most of all, keep the ball. Make Norway do the work.
Well, they got the Mexican wave going here during the hydration break. It's really sweeping round the stadium. Great stadium that it is. Doesn't necessarily feel like a traditional football ground. It's certainly built more for the NFL, and we know that, of course, here in Boston. But it's a great sight watching the crowd enjoying themselves and waving their flags as well. And they might as well enjoy themselves, because these hydration breaks are going to happen, Mark McGee, we know, throughout the tournament, regardless of the weather.
Yeah, and their managers and coaches are using them to their advantage. Scotland did it in the first game, so that's fine. It's an improvised idea. I don't like it. I think there's plenty of opportunity to get water. I think the players arrive at the match, well hydrated, and they can get drinks on. There can be drinks around the pitch. They do it every week at home. I don't like this, because it breaks the momentum. It breaks the direction of play can change, just because they've had that break, not because of any information is given, but just because of the law in the proceedings.
So no Mexican wave for Mark McGee, doesn't look like.
No, I think not only that, but they've wrong-footed me, because I always imagined that the Mexican wave went from left to right, but they're going from right to left, and that kind of made me a little bit dizzy.
Stop the count. Turn it around. Mark McGee is with us here in the commentary box. The hydration break is nearly over. The third place table at the moment has Scotland in 9th, Senegal all the way up to 5th on goal difference. Scotland with that -3 goal difference, that's the big problem. The next side above them, and the last team to qualify as one of the best placed third place sides as it stands, is Algeria, who have a goal difference of -2. So maybe Algeria against Austria in the final game. There might be a bit of hope for Scotland there, but we do know, Mark, they need a lot of things to go their way.
Yeah, but I think that's one result that I think we can count on. I can see Austria beating Algeria, so I'm counting that one. It's the rest that worry me.
Well, look, we're off to Mexico City tomorrow, and fingers crossed Scotland are there. England play Panama tomorrow, live on Talk Sport tomorrow night at 10. The game is back underway, and Norway have possession in their left-back position with Holmgren Pedersen. 3-1 down to France, and officially just under 20 minutes to go, but a little bit more than that with all the added time that no doubt will come. Berg, midway inside his own half, has stroked the ball towards the Norway right and straight out of play. And you're right, actually, Mark, because when the hydration break ends and the music dies down, the atmosphere dies down a bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of it. You know, you're in the midst of an attacking sequence. You built a lot of momentum.
Oh, but there is an attack here for Norway with Asgard playing it through. Bobby's clear. Great save, Magnon. Really good right hand to plunge down and turn that away, and denies Oscar Bob from close range. But it's still with Shelderup, who marauds into the box and is blocked off by Koundé.
Super bit of play by Asgard. You know, he gives Bob time to get in position. He slides him in. It's a perfect ball. You fancy he's going to score. He'll be really disappointed because, you know, he had the position that Gumbelli came in on that side twice and scored. You know, he just needed to mimic that.
Magnon's first World Cup. He missed 2022 due to injury, as Berg prepares to take another corner in front of the Norway fans. Right-footed, floated into the near post, headed away. Crucial touch on that for France, perhaps by Barcola. Now they're counter-attacking with Kylian Mbappe. Only Cherki is really in support. Mbappe's dribbled 20 yards to the edge of the area, sweeping ball to the back post. Hooked away on the volley by Berg. The captain gets back to defend it well for Norway. Doué nearly reached that at the far post for France, and but for the intervention of Berg, he would have done. Might be able to hear the France drum away to the right-hand side at the moment. They have high expectations, as always do France, coming into the tournament. World Cup winners twice, and so nearly made it a glorious hat-trick in Qatar, but the penalty shootout did not go their way. Selvik turning on the ball, the goalkeeper pirouetting away from Mbappe rather confidently for Norway. Holmgren Pedersen back to Østigård. Maybe there's still life in this as a contest just yet. If Norway can get another goal in the next 5-10 minutes, then it will make for a potentially very lively finish, as Asgard is caught on the halfway line. That's a foul by Tchouameni, and he is going to get booked here by Michael Oliver.
Yeah, Tchouameni's been a little bit slow to things today, a little bit behind the pace. Asgard has done well. I think he's played very well for Norway today, and he sucked him in a little bit there. He did that thing where you plant your foot and you let him try and win it. Sometimes you can take a knock, but you've got to be prepared to take a knock, because that's what gets you the free kick. That was good play.
They're into their rowing routine again here, the Norway fans. Away to the left-hand side, regardless of where the ball is or what the score is, they're just enjoying themselves. They're all sitting down and doing an amazingly synchronized rowing motion, back and forth, back and forth. It's quite the sight. Big cheers from the Norway support. Arsenal's rolling the ball all the way back to Norway goalkeeper Selvik in blue. Pace of the game has really died down since that hydration break, as Mark McGee was explaining. And obviously there'll be some points in the World Cup where the hydration break is absolutely merited, but we've also seen some games where it isn't really needed at all. Strand Larsen through the middle. Oh, and the defender has slipped. It nearly ran through for Asgard, and again Magnon in bright yellow. The goalkeeper had to be alert to dart out to the edge of the area and clear. Good goalkeeping as France make a change, and it's a straight swap at centre half. Konate will get some football for the first time at this World Cup in place of Upamecano.
Well, you know, they've looked a little bit tired at the back, and I think Upamecano will be glad to go off. You know, he'll not have anything to say against that, you know, and gives Konate an opportunity to get some legs out there and get his run at it.
Konate, of course, who has left Liverpool or will leave Liverpool when his contract expires this summer, and has been unable to displace the centre-half pairing of Saliba and Upamecano for the most part. The fact that Lacroix started today as well suggests that Konate might well be fourth choice centre-half. They are well stocked, France, in just about every position in terms of their squad depth. It doesn't look like we'll see Erling Haaland today. Norway 1, France 3 on Talk Sport. We haven't seen any further goals in the second half, though. Up until the hydration break, it was quite lively. Maybe there's still time for another spark in the game. Early ball by Arsenal to the feet of Bob. Bob can run at Lacroix here. Bob onto the left foot, darting infield to the edge of the D, lays it square. Patrick Berg's touch is heavy, and the ball is cleared high downfield, swept away by Jules Koundé. For a player who wasn't very lively in the Premier League last season, Oscar Bob didn't score for Manchester City or Fulham. He's been very lively in this second half in particular.
Yeah, he's been excellent. You know, he's been the one player for Norway who's taken it at them. He's opened them up a wee bit. He's put them in their back foot. He's created a bit of space. He's done really well. He should have scored, I think.
It's an absolutely dream day for Senegal, who lead Iraq by 4-0, and they will obviously finish third in Group I, but very much set to qualify as one of the best placed third place teams. I think that puts their goal difference up to +1, so they will almost certainly go through. Pat Gay has got his second of the game, having come off the bench. 4-0 Senegal against Iraq, and it's live on Talk Sport 2. The first ever Senegalese player to score 2 goals after coming off the bench at a World Cup, Pat Gay. Here is Schelderup in the win position for Norway. 12.5 minutes to go. Schelderup doesn't win the battle of wits with Koundé this time. He's in the way of the French defender. Hasn't had it all his own way, that's for sure, Koundé. But he does win that individual duel. Asgard for Norway into the feet of Bob. And Bob looks for Strand Larsen. Back to Bob again in a tight area. Works it wide to Schelderup. Lovely football by Norway. Schelderup lays it square. It's teed up by Strand Larsen. Hit by Berg. Blocked by the defender Lacroix. Berg was best placed to strike that, I think, because Bob almost turned his back half to goal, trying to run onto it. Arsenal with a low ball in. It's deflected back into the path of the full-back, but cleared away by Theo Hernandez this time.
A terrific passage of play with Norway there, and yeah, Oscar Bob just steps aside to let him go on to the shot. It was blocked a little bit easily. I think he's got to maybe just find a corner. He seemed to be content just to hit the target rather than picking his spot.
Absolutely, Mark. And I'm sure there'll be people talking about Asgard in glowing terms after the game as well.
You know, I'd say that Rangers supporters can be really pleased with their player. He's played really well today. He's mixed it with these fantastic, superstars, and he's looked every bit a World Cup player. Really pleased for him, actually.
Doué rolling the ball out to the left for France. They're not coming forward at any great pace at the moment. I'm sure Mbappe would love a goal. Cherki, midway inside Norway territory. Manchester City man picks out Chouameni, who works it wide to the long-haired Koundé. Now back in field again. Chouameni has Kone square. Be interesting to see who starts in midfield for France in the round of 32. Rabiot you'd expect to come back in, but for who? Might it be Chouameni, with Kone given another starting berth? We'll see next Tuesday when France play, as it stands, Sweden in New York, New Jersey.
Well, I thought Rabiot was one of the top performers in the 2 previous games. I thought he was brilliant. The way he just bossed it, just slightly deeper, and I think he will come in, and I think Chouameni's performance today has not been good enough.
Oh, lovely ball through to Barcola. Barcola races into the area. His pace is extraordinary, and he's denied at the near post by Selvik. He's sprinting past 2 in red there, like they weren't even there, and denied, blocked off by the goalkeeper. Corner to France. How about that for a run of extraordinary quality by Barcola. Theo Hernandez delivers a good cross. Lacroix is forward, tries to head it goalwards, but it's cleared from in front of him by Holmgren Pedersen. France are still on the attack, maybe leading 3-1. Back to goal is Cherky, the little magician, on the ball now, a couple of step overs, chips the ball high to the back post. It's cleared on the volley by Arsnes, drops down to Teo Hernandez. Long way out here, France, as they keep possession again. Stroked out to the left hand side. Mbappe still forward. Here is Lacroix. Mbappe with a lovely crossfield ball, effortlessly floated wide into the path of Cherky. Cherky now steps on the ball, looks for Koundé, and Koundé blocked off by Shelderup, who has tracked back very diligently there. Helps out Holmgren Pedersen, who classes the ball high upfield, and it is swirling in the air as it's won back by Strand Larsen. And now Patrick Berg gathers it upfield, looks for Bob over the halfway line. Good tracking back. Well, I thought good tracking back by Barkler, but not so, says the referee. Free kick to Norway.
Down on this side here, Cherky, he's the man now to keep getting the ball to, his trickery. And the thing that impresses you as well, when you look at the forward line and the forwards that they have available, France, they're all of a different sort, Mbappe, Dembele, Cherky, they're all a different style, and it's brilliant variety for the manager to be able to bring on a tool that he needs.
Make a double change shortly, Norway. Good flick by Strand Larsen into the path of Asgard, but he's been seen off this time by Chouameni, who just came across him goal side, whipped it off his toes and sent it back to the goalkeeper. That double change, we think, is going to be Jens Petter Hauge and Antonio Nusa for Norway. And they've won a corner. France careless on the ball. Here comes that double change. Off goes Oscar Bob. Bit of a shame to see him leave the field. He's been so good. And Shelderup off as well. Nusa and Hauge are the two to come on. Well, a goal here would bring some jeopardy back into the game, although in the wider context it wouldn't change very much, because Norway would need to win to actually win the group. France only need a draw. Big welcome for Nusa. Rapturous applause as he takes to the field. Been dubbed Norway's Neymar in the past. Corner coming up for Norway, and France have brought almost everybody back, everybody bar Mbappe.
A bit of wrestling going on in the 6-yard box there, the referee just having a little word with the two of them.
Well, among those forward, Langas, Strand Larsen and Ostergaard, a trio in red at the back post. Will Patrick Berg aim the corner in their direction? He goes to the near post instead, and Ostergaard, it was well headed away by Ibrahima Konate in front of him. And now a chance maybe for the French to counter. Mbappe's always looking for the out ball, but Teo Hernandez decided not to go long. France keep it. Lacroix across to Koundé. Well, France have certainly shown their mettle early on in this World Cup, and potentially Mark McGee, well, they'll certainly hope this, but as they go through the tournament they only get better.
And so far I think they have. Again, we discount the fact that Norway made so many changes. Their early play, the first half play was just top drawer. I don't think the best teams in this competition going forward would cope. Not many of them would cope with that. So it does. It augurs well for the French.
Another 3 goals for France, who've now scored in each of their last 16 games, competitive matches stretching back to March 2025. 49 World Cup goals since the start of the 2014 tournament. Over the top towards Barkler, looking to raid down the left, but it's floated over his head and out of play.
It's getting a little bit untidy now. France look, like a team who want this game to finish. They've done enough. They've not got any more ambition in this game. I know that Cherky and I know that Mbappe still wants a goal, and Cherky wants to show what he can do, but the rest, really, they've had enough, and they could do with the game being over.
Foul by Kone on Nusa. Referee lets the advantage play. Nusa stayed down. I think we're going to see Jean-Philippe Mateta play at a major tournament for the very first time. A World Cup debut looms for Jean-Philippe Mateta at the age of 28. Crystal Palace's match winner in the Conference League final. made his France debut in October as part of a double change, I think, here for France. Malo Gusto of Chelsea reportedly wants to leave Chelsea. Is going to come on for his major tournament debut as well. So two landmark moments, and I think in particular, Mark, for Mateta, it's an amazing story. He will replace Mbappe.
It'd be great to see him, and I'm looking at the clock. There's 4 minutes to go plus whatever stoppage time there is. So he's probably got 10 minutes to impress, 10 minutes to enjoy himself out there. He's going into a game that his team are winning. There's no pressure. They're not chasing anything. So he can go in there and, show what he can do.
Mateta is onto the field, as is Gusto. Well, isn't this an exciting moment for Jean-Philippe Mateta, as I say, in particular? Forgive me for saying, Malo Gusto has already played once at this tournament. This is his second appearance of the World Cup, as France give it away and then Asmus hammers the ball over the top from the edge of the ditch.
That is a bit unfortunate, because there is an opportunity, a square ball across the front of the 18-yard box, maybe about 22 yards out. If he hits the target, takes the keeper, but he sort of slices it over and away.
So no danger for Magnon and France that time. 3 minutes to go. Gusto on for his second appearance of the World Cup, and Mateta is first. It's 5-0 to Senegal against Iraq. They are cruising into a terrific position in the third place table. It's another Premier League player who has scored. Iliman Ndiaye of Everton has made it 5-0 against Iraq. Live on Talk Sport 2. And I'll tell you where that takes Senegal in the third place table in just a moment. As always, I can't work the technology. Producer Izzy's given me a helping hand. Senegal are up into 5th in the third place table. Scotland are out of the top 8 at the moment. But ultimately they'll have to rely on other results. I'm looking at the likes of Algeria perhaps, or Croatia. Will they suffer heavy defeats in their final group stage matches? And there are other matches that will also need to go Scotland's way. Norway tried to come forward against France here, with France leading 3-1 on Talk Sport. England against Panama, live on Talk Sport tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. There are some empty seats now starting to emerge around the stadium, the blue and red empty seats, as some in the crowd head for the exits. The game feels like it's long been won by France, even despite Norway's considerable efforts in the second half. And you do wonder, if they played Ødegaard, if they played Haaland, could they have won this game even? We'll never know.
We will never know, but I think they would have to have played ever so well to win this game, because I'm sure that France have yet another gear. They were brilliant in the first half. Dembele getting his hat-trick, but you then got Mbappe, who's hunting and can get goals. There's more to come out of this France team, regardless of how good they were in that spell in the first half in particular. I'm not sure that Norway could have lived with even Norway's first 11.
32-minute hat-trick for Dembele in the first half. The ball is on the near side, the right, with Cherki. We're about to go into added time at the end of the game on what has turned into a really nice afternoon here in Foxborough, just south of Boston. So France will win the group. Norway will finish second. We knew they were the top two before the start. And Senegal into third with a very healthy goal difference of +2 that should be enough to see them, will be enough to see them into the round of 32 as a third place side.
I think we're not surprised with Senegal. We saw them against France in that first game, and they were a really, really good team. France in the second half of Mbappe, blew them away, but they were a better than decent team, so it's not surprising that they've come through the way they have.
They're a real threat, aren't they, Mark? Potentially, we talk about dark horses. Well, maybe Senegal could be just that as the tournament goes on. Here is Cherki for France, spinning back towards the centre circle. He was forced that way by the challenge of Jens Petter Hauger. France have it again with Cherki. Actually seen quite a lot of the balls since coming on. Plays it square to Chouameni. Out on the left-hand side is Teo Hernandez. So we're nearly a minute through the 5 added as Barcola wins France a throw out on that far side of the field. Keep it TalkSport and TalkSport 2 for all of the World Cup football. We've got more live football and indeed debate and coverage around the World Cup than anybody else, as Malo Gusto takes up possession for France, and now the ball is rolled infield to Kone square to Chouameni, and this game is done. But can France finish with a final flourish? Good dummy actually by Mateta to let it run into the path of Teo Hernandez, whose shot is wayward over the top of the bar, the little track behind the goal, and very nearly landed in the first row of the supporters.
I mean, what I feel is that Solbakken probably will feel justified in what he's done, because, you know, they've kept it to 3-1. They've not been blown away completely. When it went 2-0 in the first half, he must have been worried, but then they get that quick goal back which steadied them again, and his second string have put up a reasonable performance. There's been good individual performances, and you know, they've not got completely done by France.
Kone gallops forward to the edge of the box and is well blocked off by Leo Ostigard. Turning away on the near side of the field is Nusa, who is blocked off by two in the mid-coloured shirts of France, this change kit. Michael Oliver's had a little look at the watch, but there are still 2.5 minutes to go. Guy Stéphane watching on with his arms folded. He's the assistant head coach of France. Very sadly, Didier Deschamps' mother has passed away, and so he's gone home, completely understandably, to be around family. Strand Larsen on the halfway line for Norway can't keep the ball. It is run back by the industrious Cherki. He's getting about everywhere at the moment during this game. And of course, the aim for all of these France substitutes, outrageous quality on the bench, is to try and prove that they should be in the team for the next game. It looks like against Sweden in the round of 32.
Finishers. But no, I like him as well, because
good turn, Barcola down the left-hand side. He's got a crossing opportunity, delivers in high. There is the header in. It's another goal for France. It's Désiré Doué. They finish with a flourish and with a fork. France are going to win the group in style, and they have underlined their World Cup intent in doing so. Doué gets it on the act. Norway 1, France 4.
Well, in the sense of getting another goal, they've been patient in the second half. They've not chased a second goal, but a nice bit of playing, a super cross, and the simplest of headers just glanced it into the corner there beyond the keeper. Excellent goal.
Just a floated header beyond Egil Selvik, who could do nothing to keep it out. And France are loving life in the sunshine in Boston, and Doué makes his points perhaps to the coaching staff that he should be in the team again when the round of 32 does come around.
Yeah, and he offers so much as well as goals, but when he starts getting goals, then they've got to pay him a little bit of attention, and when they go into the next game, he'll be certainly considered. Cherki, we've seen what type of player he is, and that's the amazing thing about what they have. They have such variety in styles. I said it already, when the manager wants a particular type of performance, when he wants a particular type of player, he's got it all. He's got every type of player that he needs. He's brought on Mateta, so he's got a target man. He's brought on Cherki, who gets on the ball and creates. He's got Mbappe, who can make those runs and who can bring people into play and who can score goals, and he's got Dembele doing what he's done. And then, as far as I'm concerned today, Dembele's got to be the man in the match, but Olise, wow, he was absolutely sensational for an hour.
The last few moments of the game, which is now over. France win Group I. They cruise into the round of 32. 9 points, and France France are looking a formidable force at the 2026 World Cup, and how ironic on a day that was supposed to be all about Haaland, all about Mbappe, that certainly for France at least, the supporting cast very much took centre stage. Ousmane Dembele is now right up there with the top goal scorers at this World Cup, showing his potency, showing his quality with an extraordinarily well taken first half hat-trick. Desiree Doué added the final goal late on. Telo Asgard got the goal for a much changed Norway on a day where Haaland didn't take to the field at all. They finish second, but there's no doubt, as we knew really beforehand, that France are ones to watch. It has finished in Boston. Norway 1, a dominant France 4.